Hello, adorable charms. You're most welcome to Everything Literature, where you get to learn about everything concerning drama, prose, the most inspiring poetry. Take a seat and enjoy the class.
This victory is not all to come. Beyond this feat, we must keep tight our fist, for our very first taste of defeat was the kiss of death we had with the shadows of hell, when our heart lost touch with grace and blood. Once again, you're most welcome to Everything Literature, and our focus for today's class will be on figures of speech based on construction. Specifically, we'll be taking a look at syllepsis and Zeugma. Also, we have Chiasmus. Then we take a look at Anadiplosis combined with anaphora. Next, we have Aposiopesis, Hendiadys, Rhetorical question, or what we call interrogation again, Asyndeton and polysyndeton. We have inversion and Hyperbaton. As a quick recap, figures of speech. What do we mean by this? A figure of speech is a device a speaker or a writer employs to express an opinion in a non-ordinary way. It is the innovative and creative means of expression that differentiates everyday language from literary language. What's the usefulness of figures of speech? We have the purpose of figures of speech to include to give additional meaning to a thing being said, to add deeper meaning and interest to words, and also to awaken the imagination. As devices used in writing, figures of speech are used in communication for the sake of emphasis, creativity, clarity, rhythm, novelty, peculiarity, style, and so on. And from our previous classes up to now, you must have been conversant with the fact that figures of speech are generally divided into two, classified or categorized into two. We have the trope and the scheme. The trope is a figure of speech in which the use of a word or a phrase other than its literal meaning changes the meaning of a sentence. Based the word trope from the Greek word tropes, meaning turn. This means that the use of a word has the power or the creative potency to turn or change the meaning of a sentence. Okay. Scheme, on the other hand, comes from the Greek word schema, meaning form or shape. Scheme refers to a change in the usual order of words for the sake of rhetorical effects. Okay, this has to do with the arrangement of words based on order, letters, or syntax. It has to do with the figure of speech based on construction. So we can specifically situate today's class on that scheme because majority of the figures of speech are based on arrangement, maybe in terms of the order, the letters, the syntax. Just about construction, how they've been constructed. Remember, we have already taken a look at the 7 classifications of figures of speech, and today's class happens to be the last one under this series, where we've already discussed figures based on similarity or agreement. We have simile and metaphor under that. Figures based on sound, we have onomatopoeia, alliteration, consonants, assonance, paronomasia, pan. We have figures based on association, we have apology, metonymy, synecdoche. Figures based on difference, we have epigram, oxymoron, antithesis, climax, anticlimax, paradox. Figures based on imagination, we have personification, pathetic fallacy, apostrophe, hyperbole, allusion. Then we have figures based on indirectness or oppositeness, which was discussed in our last class. We have innuendo, irony, sarcasm, periphrasis, euphemism, litotes. And specifically in today's class, we'll be discussing Zeugma, syllepsis, Chiasmus, Anadiplosis, anaphora, and the likes. So, what do we mean by figures based on construction? This has to do with the arrangement of words in a particular order or pattern. Maybe it's been inverted, it's connected, or linked together. It just has to do with how the words are being arranged. Okay, and under this we'll be talking about Zeugma or syllepsis. Now, Zeugma and syllepsis are quite related because it has to do with the use of a verb to connect or yoke 2 or more nouns together. Take note of the word yoke. Okay, then we have chiasmus, okay, which has to do with inverted parallelism. inverting the grammatical structure of an expression. Okay, and Anadiplosis and anaphora, quite not too related, okay, because Anadiplosis has to do with word ending a sentence is used to start the next sentence. When the word ending a particular sentence, word ending sentence A is actually the same word used in starting sentence B. Okay, then anaphora has to do with repetition of the word at the successive beginning of each line. Okay, and for Aposiopesis, this has to do with breaking off in the middle of a speech. Okay, then Hendiadys has to do with combination of two nouns with the conjunction hand, not necessarily hand. Okay, rhetorical question has to do with a question asked without an intention to get an answer. Asyndeton and polysyndeton. Now, the first one has to do with avoiding the use of conjunction, that is the asyndeton. Okay, while the second one, polysyndeton, has to do with the use of conjunctions. Yep. And Hyperbaton has to do with regular arrangement of words to achieve a particular effect. Has to do with irregular arrangement of words in order to achieve a particular effect. Okay, so first on the list we have Zeugma. Now, what do we mean by Zeugma? Syllepsis. Zeugma, from the Greek word yoking or bonding, is a figure of speech in which a word, usually a verb or an adjective, in most cases a verb actually, applies to more than one noun, blending together grammatically and logically different ideas. So when we use a verb to connect two or more nouns together, okay, you yoke them together. Remember the word yoke. Okay, so let's break it down for a comprehensive understanding. Zeugma is further broken down into subcategories according to the place of the connecting verb in a sentence. Is it occurring at the beginning of a sentence, middle, or at the end? So we have prozeugma, which has to do with connecting the verb at the beginning of a sentence. Take a look at this. Our hopes drowned with a belief in idealism, trust in heaven, certainty in goodness, and purity at heart. So we have the verb drowned connecting to the other part of the nouns right from the beginning of the sentence. Okay, then we have the next one to be mesozeugma, has to do with connecting verb in the middle of a sentence. It was fearful how he was. So obviously we already had a verb which was. Was is not the central verb, so the next one is the next was. Okay, I was neither an alien nor a human walking on two legs, neither a creepy insect nor a handsome apparition. Okay, then we have the next one to be Aposiopesis. Aposiopesis has to do with the connecting verb is at the end of the sentence. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears is actually an excerpt from William Shakespeare, Julius Caesar. I think we have the one called das Zeugma, whereby a subject governs many verbs. Okay, this has to do with the subject, not really the verb now. Okay, the subject may appear at the beginning or at the middle of the sentence. So take a look at this. He threw a bomb and killed soldiers, maimed children, and injured women and blinded men. Okay, so we can see the subject throwing the bomb is actually responsible for the verbs that actually occur next. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples of Zeugma. We have she broke his car and his heart. So these actually functions both literally and figuratively. You can break a car, and figuratively you can break someone's heart. She opened the door and her heart to the homeless boy. Riches vanish the strength of humility, clarity of perspective, and simplicity of joy. Next will be on syllepsis. Syllepsis is a kind of Zeugma in which the clauses, which are usually added as a pun, do not stick to the sentence grammatically and ideologically. Syllepsis is mostly used to lend a comic or satiric effect. Okay, so to break it down, syllepsis differs slightly from Zeugma in the sense that there is an error in the use of word, and the error is usually logical rather than grammatical. Okay, so let's take a look at this. The people saw the thunder and lightning. Obviously, thunder can only be heard, not seen. Okay? So when we use the people saw the thunder and lightning, here the verb saw has been used as a syllepsis. Okay? It's a form of Zeugma, but when it's not really appealing to the best way it can be used grammatically and logically, then we have it as Zeugma. If we don't hang together, we shall hang separately. So Zeugma is achieved when a word is used twice as well. Okay, but in the first sense, it means a different thing, and in the second sense, it means a different thing entirely. Okay, so hang in the first sense has to do with hang together, more or less like stay together, and hang separately as in die separately. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples of syllepsis, although we already established that this is a form of Zeugma. Okay, she took God's name and drugs first thing in the morning. Okay, so to take God's name, that's more or less like maybe pray. Okay, then to take drugs, literal. Yep. She lost her boyfriend and her mind. Can we really use our mind? Basically, yes. Okay, at the burial, he closed the coffin and his heart. Does our door really have a door that we can actually get to close our heart? Well, that's why it's called syllepsis. It's a figure of speech. She looked at the object with suspicion and magnifying glass. Okay? And look at it with suspicion. Okay? When she left, she waved goodbye to the house and happiness. Her motives and the call have been uncovered. Next, we move to chiasmus. What is chiasmus? Chiasmus is a figure of speech, specifically a scheme, in which words, grammatical constructions, or concepts are repeated in reversed order in the same or a modified form. In other words, the class is displayed in inverted parallelism. For example, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. Never let a fool kiss you, or a kiss fool you.
Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Rose is red, red is rose. Failure is an orphan, orphan is a failure. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. Okay, so when we take a look at all of these, we can see a kind of reversed order. What we're saying first is actually what we modified in other expression. Okay, it's more or less like a reverse form of antithesis. Okay, let's break it down. The word chiasmus comes from the Greek chiasmo, meaning crossing. The chi of the chiasmus comes from the Greek meaning crisscross. Okay, you can see the sign there. Here, the structure is AB, then it's inverted into BA. The structure can get more complex with ABC, then we have something like CBA. So take a look at this. Quitters never win. Then we change it to winners never quit. Okay, so we have to take note that chiasmus is different from another figure of speech called anti-metaboly, in that it does not always repeat words in both the clauses. In rhetoric, chiasmus is a verbal pattern, a type of antithesis, okay, in which the second half of an expression is balanced against the first with the part reversed. So it's not a different expression that will be said in the second part. It's actually the same expression but in reversed order, just as we've seen with quitters never win. Then we reverse it. Winners never quit. Okay? Failure is an orphan. Orphan ending it, then we take it back. Orphan is a failure. Okay, so it's more or less like what serves as the subject becomes the object in the other expression, in the other part of the sentence. And the object becomes the subject in the other part. I hope you got it. Nice. Next, we have what is Anadiplosis and also anaphora. Anadiplosis, this term is a Greek word which means to reduplicate. Anadiplosis is a figure of speech in which a word or a group of words located at the end of one clause or sentence is repeated at or near the beginning of the following clause or sentence. Examples: our doubt is our passion, and our passion is our attacks. Okay, so if we have it as our doubt is our passion and our passion is our doubt, that's more or less like Chiasmus. But why this is Anadiplosis is because the word ending the first part of the sentence is actually what we use to start the next one, but not necessarily in a reversed order. Okay, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Okay, once you change your philosophy, you will change your thought pattern. Once you change your thought pattern, you change your attitude. Once you change your attitude, it changes your behavior pattern. And then you go on into some action. This is by Malcolm X. Okay, so let's break it down. Chiasmus refers to a set of sentences or classes which repeat two words or phrases, but in reversed order, such as the truth is the light. Then we take it back. The light is the truth. Okay, this is by Raphael in Invisible Man. However, not every example of Anadiplosis is also an example of Chiasmus. In most cases, it's not the same thing. Okay, so let's take a look at what I want is freedom. Freedom to live. Okay, so freedom repeated at the end and freedom beginning it. That's what makes it Anadiplosis. Assuming we have it as freedom is all that I want, then we are having Chiasmus. Okay, so let's move to anaphoral. Anaphoral is when the same word is used at the beginning of each clause, sentence, or line. It is a cousin to Anadiplosis. Now, anaphora specifically refers to a scheme in which the same word or phrase is repeated at the beginning of successive phrases, clauses, or sentences. It is a special form of repetition. Okay, so for example, we have singing the song of procreation, singing the need of superb children and daring superb grown people, singing the muscular urge and the blending. Now, the repetition of singing at the beginning of each line is anaphoral. Take a look at this as well. I will fight for you. I will fight to save social security. I will fight to raise the minimum wage. The expression I will fight being repeated at the beginning of each line, that's anaphoral. So to break it down, anaphoral creates parallelism, lends rhythm to the lines, and stresses the words or the phrase that is being repeated. It is used to intensify emotions in verse or prose by repeating a certain expression. The word anaphora comes from the Greek meaning carrying back. Okay, so in grammar we have anaphoric use of pronoun and cataphoric use of pronoun. Okay, but that's actually different. That's in the grammatical sense. We're just taking a look at anaphora from the angle of a figure of speech. Next we have Aposiopesis. The word Aposiopesis comes from Greek meaning becoming silent. It is a literary device of suddenly breaking off in the middle of a speech, majorly due to unwillingness to continue and not actually due to inability to talk or to continue. Okay, so examples we have get out or else. If you don't do that, I will. Touch me one more time and I swear. How could you? If only. Oh well, it's fine. So you can see from the way I've expressed these examples, this device often portrays its users as overcome with passion. This may be fear, anger, excitement, or modesty. Okay, maybe you intend saying something insulting or abusive before, then you just decide to pause at the middle of the speech. When a speaker intentionally leaves a sentence incomplete, but say enough so that the hearer can guess what he would have said next. Aposiopesis is usually marked by the occurrence of punctuation such as the M rule, that is a long dash, okay? And we have the ellipsis. The ellipsis is often used to indicate Aposiopesis. What is Hendiadys? These occur when two nouns joined by the conjunction and rather than the nouns modified by the adjective formed from the other. I know the definitions can be quite tricky. Understanding it by examples will do the magic. When two nouns are used with a conjunction, for instance, storm and rain, instead of combining them as an adjective and a noun, stormy rain, rain as the noun, stormy as an adjective, but you decided not to make stormy as an adjective, you decided to make it a noun. So when we have a storm and rain, that is Hendiadys. Because stormy rain, that's the normal way it's supposed to be expressed. Examples: with joy and tidings front. This means joyful tidings, okay? Despite the alarm and fear, he quickly accepted the challenge. It should have been something like an alarming fear. His voracity and appetite scared me. More or less like his voracious appetite. Okay? The show went on despite of wind and weather. It should have been despite of a windy weather. Okay? To look with eyes and envy. This should have been to look with an envious eyes. So to break it down, the word Hendiadys comes from the Greek Hendiadon, meaning 1 through 2. It's a kind of splitting it up. Okay, in English grammar, nouns are often preceded by a modifier. So instead of the expression deceitful words, Hendiadys we express it as deceits and words. Did you get it? Do you understand it now? I hope you do. Next, we have rhetorical question. Rhetorical question is a type of question for which no answer is expected. Rhetorical question is a type of question that is used to emphasize emotions rather than expect an answer in reply. This is also known as interrogation. It is an expression which requires no answer since the answer is already implied. Really? Okay. Examples. We have, when will I get to own my life again? When this kind of question is asked, it's not really expected for the audience or the reader to answer yes or no, or to state a time that will be maybe in the next 50 years or so. Okay, how could I be this stupid? It's not because you really want to answer the question yourself. Do we really want our planet to survive? That's a rhetorical question. Who wouldn't want to be a millionaire? Okay, so let's break it down. A rhetorical question is asked just for effect, or to lay emphasis on some point being discussed when no real answer is expected. It functions as a persuasive device in a speech. Now, do not confuse this for anaphora or anti-apophora. Okay? In an apophora, a writer poses a question and then answers the question immediately. That's in apophora. So, a rhetorical question asks a question but will not answer. But in apophora, the question is asked and an answer is provided. Should students wear uniforms to school? The answer is yes. So this is an apophora. Okay, then we have another one called aporia. Repetition or aporia is a question that is used to express doubt or uncertainty. It's often used in philosophy to state logical questions. For instance, in William Shakespeare's Hamlet, we have to be and not to be. That's the question. Okay, so that's more or less like expressing a kind of uncertainty. Or doubt, but it's a philosophical inquiry. Next, we have Asyndeton and polysyndeton. Asyndeton has to do with when conjunctions such as but, for, so, or, and, majorly defined words, okay, are done away with after every successive clause or phrase in order to achieve an effect. It's the opposite of polysyndeton. The word Asyndeton comes from the Greek Asyndetos, meaning not bound together or unconnected. Deliberate omission of conjunctions between a series of related clauses. Let's take a look at the examples. I came, I saw, I conquered. You can only see the commas in between. We met, we got engaged, we married. She is addicted to chocolates, cakes, cookies. He tried to betray you, to cheat you, to deceive you. Smile, talk, bye-bye. He received applause, prizes, money, fame. He provided education, allowance, dignity. Okay, so let's break it down. The effect of Asyndeton is to produce a hurried rhythm in the sentence. We have the concept Syndeton, which is a normal and acceptable usage of conjunctions to connect ideas or objects in a list. That's the normal way it's supposed to be in a grammatical sense. Okay, we ate, went for a game, and watched a movie. That's Syndeton. That is, you put a comma where you ought to have comma, and you put and where you ought to have hand. But when we have it as we ate, went for a game, watched a movie, that's Asyndeton. That is, you're using comma all through. Okay, where you ought to have and, you refuse to put and there. Then we have we ate and went for a game and watched a movie. That's polysyndeton, because where you also have comma, you decided to omit comma, then you put in and that moves us to the next one, which is polysyndeton. Polysyndeton has to do with when conjunctions such as and, or, but, so, yet, for the fanboys generally are used in close succession even when they are not required. The word polysyndeton comes from the Greek polysyndetos, meaning bound together. Okay, it is the deliberate use of many conjunctions. Okay, the repetition of particular conjunction. Okay, this does not mean you can select different conjunctions. It just means pick one of the fanboys and you using it repeatedly. So take a look at this example. Okay, and if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove uncertainty, but do not have love, I am nothing. This is actually an excerpt from a biblical verse. Okay, you can see the repetition of hand. So with this, the effect of polysyndeton is actually to slow down the rhythm of the sentence. Remember, in Syndeton is actually to intensify, to hurry the rhythm of the sentence. But polysyndeton is actually to slow down the rhythm of the sentence. Okay, Asyndeton uses no conjunctions, but only commas. Okay, I came, I saw, I conquered. That's Asyndeton. I came and I saw and I conquered. That's polysyndeton. Polysyndeton is used to emphasize on each item in a list, add rhythm, and make a spontaneous flow of itemization, so to say. Okay, last but not the least, under the figures of speech based and construction, which specifically helps us understand scheme better as a class or as a group of figures of speech, we have Hyperbaton. Okay, otherwise known as inversion. This figure of speech is also known as inversion or anatropy. Okay, it's the type in which a change occurs in the regular arrangement of words for the purpose of a particular effect, an inversion of the normal grammatical order of words. The word hyperbaton comes from the Greek word hyperbatos, meaning transposition or inverted. So let's take a look at some examples. Out of something strong cometh honey. It should have just been honey cometh out of something strong. Okay, so we've actually had a rearrangement of the normal regular arrangement. You, I love. It should have just been simply I love you. It's cheese I like. Simply I like cheese. To you I owe everything. I owe everything to you. Or simply I owe you everything. Okay, rowed the sea. The sea rowed. Simple as that. Okay, so let's break it down. This deviation can emphasize a point, or it can just sound awkward. Related terms to these happens to be nastrophe and tmesis. Nastrophe is a specific type of hyperbaton in which a predicative adjective fixed for a linking verb appears before the noun rather than before it, rather than after it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. She was gracious. Gracious is an adjective there, it's coming after a linking verb was, but we rearrange it to become
gracious she was. Okay, and that's a form of anastrophe. Okay, tmesis is a unique way of breaking a single word into separate parts, either by the syllabic structure or personal preference in order to emphasize or an idea. Okay, so take a look at intellectual. We have the word to be intellectual. Discover, we have discover. Okay, impassable, most times we make it to be possible, meaning I am possible sometimes. Okay, so that's just how Hyperbaton works. Okay, whereby we rearrange words. What ought to be in the objective case, we put it to be in the subjective case. Then we use a comma to break it. Then we just rearrange the whole thing. Okay, and with this, we've come towards the end of the class, specifically on figures based on construction, which has to do with the arrangement of words in a particular order or pattern. That is, these figures of speech has to do with when words are being inverted, connected, or linked together. And specifically, we've taken a look at Zeugma, syllepsis, the relationship between the two. We've taken a look at Chiasmus, we've taken a look at Anadiplosis, anaphora, Aposiopesis as well, Hendiadys, Rhetorical question, Asyndeton, polysyndeton, then Hyperbaton. Okay, and with this, we've been able to discuss the 7 classifications of figures of speech so far in all of our classes. Okay, figures of speech based on agreement, simile and metaphor, figures based on sound, onomatopoeia, alliteration, consonants, assonance, paronomasia, and pun, figures based on association, apology, metonymy, synecdoche, figures based on difference, epigram, oxymoron, antithesis, climax, anticlimax, paradox. Okay, figures based on imagination, personification, pathetic fallacy, apostrophe, hyperbole, allusion. Then figures based on indirectness, we have innuendo, irony, sarcasm, periphrases, euphemism, litotes. Then we have Zeugma, syllepsis, Chiasmus, Anadiplosis, anaphora, and the likes that we discussed into this class. If you've really learned one of the things in all of the classes, or specifically in today's class, please do well to like the video, share as well, and subscribe if you're yet to subscribe. It's really nice having you on board. I would really like to hear your thoughts in the comments section. See you in the next class.